Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn, and Barrett Brooks. Excited to have our next guest. This is her first time on the program, and we appreciate her squeezing us in right before first pitch here with the Phillies and the Rays. Does an excellent job covering the Phillies for the Philadelphia Inquirer. You could follow her on Twitter @by Alex Coffey, and it's Alex Coffey. Alex, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. I need your reporter hat on. I need you to parse this. I need you to parse this because I just read your tweet, okay, moments ago, right before you came on with us. In an update, I don't know if you want to call it an update. It's something, I guess, from regarding Andrew Painter. So your tweet is, and there's a picture of his gigantic frame standing there talking to everybody. Painter is here. No update for Phillies yet, but Scott Boras, who I didn't even know, I'm assuming he's his agent, says, quote, "I have extensive studies on young pitchers with extreme velocity at young ages. Andrew is aware and understands his development requires great attention and patience, so his rare skills extends throughout his long MLB career." All right. For starters, is he implying that he was rushed a little by the Phillies, or it's just, hey, he's got to be aware of his limitations? What, in your estimation, because you were there, do you think he meant?
Yeah, so Boras, I mean, obviously that's kind of a word salad over there. So just parsing it, I think what jumps out to me is just this emphasis on patience and not wanting to, put a guy in a situation where he's going to injure himself and do long-term damage in his career. So we still don't know exactly what the diagnosis is on our side. Obviously, Boras and the Phillies probably know at this point. But my main takeaway is just that they're not going to put him in a position where like he could compromise himself long term. So that might mean, that he is not in the running for this fifth starter position that he was competing for earlier before he came back and reported the tender elbow. They haven't come out and said that yet, but that's my interpretation, is that they're just going to use an abundance of caution with him because he's so young, only 19. So you don't want to do some damage that could impact him long term.
Alex, do you find that the Phillies front office in general is pretty open and forthcoming with you guys in terms of giving you as much information as they can? Or we always talk about how the Eagles in recent years have become so guarded and not giving you anything. Are the Phillies pretty upfront with you guys about what's going on with situations?
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, we haven't even had to ask Tom in recent days. He just starts his press conferences with, "I have no update for you on
preemptive strike." Yeah.
He knows that that's what everyone's talking about, and obviously it's a really atypical situation with a guy that's that young. But I don't think it necessarily has to be like them taking this long to inform us and them taking this long to, come to a decision, presumably. I don't think that it necessarily has to mean like doom and gloom. I think it could just mean that this guy is 19 and they're being really, really careful.
Okay.
Alex, you get a sense. Go ahead, B. Sorry. Go ahead.
So you get a sense that saying that then, all right, his spring is probably over with, being up with the guys that are there now. So he's probably done with the summer. I mean, for the spring at least. And looking at our bullpen now and looking at our starters now, I think I'm comfortable with that because what we have right now with Swerves and Walker and Falter and all those guys. So I'm pretty confident with them that we don't have to rush them back.
Yeah, I think that they're in a different position than they have been in previous seasons where they actually do have pitching depth. And a guy like Falter, he's versatile, so they could have, put him in the bullpen. They could have used him as a swing man, like a starter / bullpen arm. But now if he takes that fifth starter spot, they could use that to open up a spot for maybe one of the other young guys. It's like competing for a bullpen spot. So it gives someone else an opportunity. And those guys have impressed in camp. So yeah, it might, there will be like a little bit of shuffling around, but people aren't panicking here. And we don't know, we don't know what the timeline is going to be yet, or, they haven't officially come out and said that he's missing time at all. But, you read the writing on the
Into the
wall.
lines, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like difficult because you don't want to speculate too much, but it does seem that it's trending in that direction.
All right, let me jump off Painter for a minute, Alex. Let me just ask you about some other your impressions of what you've seen thus far from maybe some others. How's the Castellanos look to you? I mean, it was a tough year last year, let's face it, and they, especially with Harper being out for likely the first half, need him, to be closer to the guy we saw in Cincinnati. How's he looked thus far?
He looks a lot more settled and a lot more. It's hard to glean a ton from spring training at bats because, the games don't mean anything. And sometimes guys are working on like one specific thing and, it kind of depends on what they're working on that day. So I try not to take too much away from that. But he did make some offensive adjustments at the plate where he's a little bit closer to the plate and he's simplified things. So he felt like last season he was like over tinkering, like trying to, I don't know, too many moving pieces at once, which might have contributed to what we saw from him offensively. So his whole approach this offseason and this spring training has just been to like keep it simple, which I think for him can only help. So mentally he's in a much better spot. Seems more settled, seems more relaxed. So, we'll see how that plays out over the course of the regular season. But I'm optimistic.
Alex, I love the story you recently wrote about Derek Hall in terms of trying to control his own destiny. Could you share that with us, because he's so far having a pretty good spring?
Yeah, so he's been tearing the cover off the ball. And again, I mean, like, spring training, take it with a grain of salt, all that stuff. But but he hit his second home run of the spring yesterday. He's hitting, getting some hits off lefties, which is really big for him because he's a guy that struggled against them last season. But, he's obviously got a lot on the line. He's competing for a roster spot, and the Phillies have said, Thompson has been asked about this, and he said that he can like hit his way into a roster spot. And that's basically what he's been doing. And he said that the difference for him has just been, trying to control his plate discipline and make better decisions in that regard, like not expand so much at the plate, just be a little bit more selective. And he worked on that with Kevin Long, the hitting coach, this offseason. And he's been bringing that approach to spring training, and it's really helped him a lot. He's a guy that was swinging at a lot of pitches, like outside of the zone and stuff, and just swinging too much and not making enough contact to justify all of the swinging. So now he's being a little bit more selective.
That kind of helps him out. That kind of helps him out as far as DHing, and especially with Alec Baum and kind of putting himself as the third base right now. But I mean, what does that do for others in the rotation? Like Reese, we know he's going to be first, but now he can DH with Reese now, right? Would you say that?
You mean like how the lineup is going to look?
Yeah.
So like who's going to hit where, or I'm just trying to understand the question.
No, just as far as him being an everyday player. I mean, I know he's not going to be an everyday player. You got Reese there, you got Baum. Those guys are probably at the first base position. Yeah. Can he go anywhere else? He's just a first baseman.
Yeah, they've been giving him some reps out in the outfield and center field. I don't know if that's like realistic or not, given his build. He's not like the quickest.
In center, Alex, not at the corners.
Yeah, they've been out there with Paco Figueroa, the first base coach, outfield guy.
Oh my God!
Getting jumped to the wall and stuff like that. So I think first base would be a more natural position for him, but. Right. But clearly they're trying out different things. They're trying to make him a little bit more versatile. So we'll see how that pans out. But I guess like first base DH would be the most natural spot for him. But it does seem like the Phillies are open to like shuffling through that position, shuffling through DH. There's not going to be like one guy that's just the designated DH. It's going to be like Hoskins or Bohm or even if you could like take Schwarber, Castellanos and fill them in with like a backup outfielder, it seems like they're going to cobble together that position, for lack of a better word.
All right. And one guy who might be a candidate for maybe that first base spot occasionally would be Bohm, but for now he's playing third. He's playing it pretty well, actually. He made a real nice pick the other day and had a good postseason in the field. But Alex, he looks amazing at the plate. He hit another one yesterday. We know he's bulked up. He looks like he's a lot stronger than he was last year too. it just feels like he's poised for a really nice season. You get that same sense?
Yeah, he's lifting the ball more. The interesting thing with him is that he says he's not doing anything differently. He just sees it as like the natural progression of him as a player and feeling more comfortable. And if you think about where he was this time last year, he was fighting for a roster spot. I mean, it wasn't guaranteed. It was between him and Stott. They were fighting for the same spot, and now you know, they both have guaranteed spots, and there's just a little bit more peace of mind. So I think that contributes too. He just seems more comfortable and more confident, and but he says that he's really not trying to lift the ball or pull the ball or anything like that. But yeah, the results have been really good. So I have to think that some of it has to do with him adding all that muscle in the off season. He said it was like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle or something like that. He also said he wasn't trying to do that. I don't know how you like accidentally gain 10 or 15 pounds of muscle, but I would love to know.
God knows I've never done it.
I can gain 10 to 15. It just won't be muscle.
I would love to know how to do that. But yeah,
I guess it helps to be 24 or whatever he is.
Right.
Hey, Alex, question for you. We got to have it. Our weekly update on Bryce Harper. It's like a musician tour when it comes to Bryce Harper. Everybody wants to know where he is, what he's doing, what he's not doing. So please give us the weekly update on Harper.
So he gets here on Wednesday night, so tomorrow night, and he's going to get his physical in Clearwater on Thursday. And the latest we heard was that he's taking dry swings, which means he's taking swings without like making contact with the baseball. But the Phillies say they're going to get a better sense of like where he's at physically once they can do a full physical and just like assess what he's able to handle workload wise. But he'll continue his rehab from Clearwater starting on Thursday.
Okay.
Alex, give us an under the rate, maybe a guy like we all expect big things out of Trey Turner, but who has impressed you? Maybe Kingery. I don't know. Yeah. Someone who's kind of caught your eye.
Does he even make the squad this year?
I don't think so, but he's having a good spring, right, Alex?
Yeah, Kingery's having a great spring. Again, grain of salt, all that stuff. Like, you know, it's always hard to write about him and talk about him just because people have seen like glimpses of, you know, they've had like glimpses of hope and then it doesn't work out. And but he did change his stance this offseason. He's like crouching a little bit more, almost as if he's like about to field a ground ball. Like he's getting really into his legs, and he's, you know, has like a little hitting streak going. He's like 4-game hitting streak. I think he's batting somewhere in like the 350 range over 6 spring training games. So that's pretty good. But yeah, he's in the last year of his contract right now. So I don't think they obviously like his defensive versatility. It's just a matter of whether or not he can figure stuff out at the plate. So I don't think that there's much to lose from the Phillies end and taking a good look at him. But yeah, he's looked really, really solid so far.
Hey, Alex, let's go back to before Christmas. You dropped this story on Andrew Bellotti, and I read the story twice, and I'm like, wow. And for the people that have not had a chance to read the story, can you enlighten us in terms of what he went through in 2010 and how he reached out to a family member? I'm sitting there going, for a young man to go through that, number one, is traumatizing, especially on both ends. He affects not only himself and his family, but another family as well. But the bond that has been generated between the two entities.
Yeah, it's unlike any story I've ever written or reported, because I was weirdly kind of a character in the story because they were communicating through me, which is weird. But basically, in 2010, Bellotti, when he was 18, he got in this horrific car accident, and it was raining, and he was coming down a hill, and he just lost control of his car. He acknowledges that he probably was driving a little bit faster than he should have, but it wasn't like he was under the influence of anything, or, you know, was completely sober, wasn't under the influence of anything, drugs, alcohol, nothing. And he collided with a car and ended up being a fatal crash. It killed the driver of the car. And Bellotti ended up, this was like at the beginning of his baseball career, and he ended up going to jail and serving around 8 months, I think, of jail time for this. And because I mean, I have no sense of, for someone that watches a lot of Law and Order, I have no sense of like how this stuff works. But he told me that they put him in like solitary confinement for the first 2 months of his jail.
Jeez.
They didn't have like enough room or something at the jail, and I don't know, that part of it doesn't make any sense to me. But basically, when he was there, he wrote a letter to the wife of the man that he killed in this crash, and he just basically said, I'm never going to be able to live with myself, and I'm so sorry, and I can't imagine how you must be feeling. And he just really tried to like empathize with her and understand her perspective, and she ended up contacting the judge and reducing his sentence. Like initially he was asked for, the judge said I think 5 years, and she asked him to reduce it to 8 months. Long story short, I wanted to write about this during off season, and I contacted the widow, and I noticed that she had been following the Phillies because it was right around the time they signed Trey Turner. And I was like, why does this woman in South Dakota like know so much about Trey Turner? That's really weird. So I asked her why she's been following, and she said that she's been watching all of Bellotti's outings, and she's become a Phillies fan because of him.
Oh, wow.
That she's rooting for him. She's not, it's not anything malicious at all. It's like, she sees him as she sees his professional success as a triumph in a way that he honors her late husband. And
Wow.
So it's just this like crazy story of forgiveness. And it came at a time that, obviously, like, not to get too deep or whatever, sentimental, but it feels like things are really divisive. So to like hear a story of forgiveness like that, where, you're going out of your way to root for someone that represents like the worst day of your life, is pretty profound. So, he knows now that she's cheering him on, and, I don't know if they're ever going to meet, but they might not ever be ready for that, but yeah, he's kind of found closure through her because she's allowed him to forgive himself. If that.
Wow.
Alex, people didn't see it. Oh, sorry, Gunnar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but can you imagine if she had not taken that route, how it could still affect him as an everyday person and as a professional athlete had he not been granted that forgiveness?
Gunnar, he'd still be in jail if he didn't forgive him.
Exactly.
Right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's that, and then there's like the personal toll of, it's not like he was deliberately trying to hurt anyone. It was an accident. I mean, she was able to. It's just amazing to me that she was able to see it that way, even 11 years after it happened. So she kept his letter, and she said that she started following the Phillies because she was like shuffling around in her attic, and she just found this letter that he wrote her, and she was like, oh, I wonder what he's up to. And she checked in on him, and then like loved watching him pitch. She loved watching him like strike guys out, and like she just thought it was so inspiring. So it's an incredible story of forgiveness and a true testament to her and her ability to move on.
It is amazing. I can't possibly follow up with some trivial baseball question after that. That was, I was going to ask you about rules changes and Trey Turner impact and all this other stuff, man. That was, boy, that's deep. Yeah.
Wow.
No doubt.
It is. Yeah.
That's good stuff. All right. Well, listen, Alex, I know you're right up against the game, so I don't want to, we don't want to keep you too much longer. So we do appreciate it. All right. Guess what? You're on till 3. And no, let's talk Eagles.
Hey, Alex, I just want to say, because we've had a number of your compadres on our show from down there. And I want to thank you for not rubbing it in our faces. That I'm seeing you sitting there in short sleeves. That is 80+ degrees there. So I appreciate it.
No, I would never rub it in your faces. I'm just trying not to get sunburned, and I'm trying not to get heated. I've got my head on a swivel. I'm trying not to get hit. I've had a couple like near-death experiences here, and I'm trying.
I heard you. I forget where you. Maybe you were on WIP. I forget where you were.
I talked to Glenn and Mike about this.
You almost got drilled, right? There was.
I was standing in like a parking lot, and I should not have been doing that because the windshields of cars always get hit by these baseballs all the time. So I don't know why I thought that was like a safe place, but I think I was like, oh, this is quiet. Like I'll just do it here, and then a foul ball or something, like a home run, whatever, came like sailing my way, and I had to duck quickly. But yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes I need to wear like catcher's gear or helmet out here.
Well, I do. I got to ask you one more. So we ask everybody who we talk to from down there, what's your favorite spot down there? Favorite restaurant? Favorite place to go? Clearwater area? What would you say if you have an off day? If you could just chill, what would it be?
To think about it. Well, I can't say Frenchies because I'm sure that's what everyone says. I don't know. I really like. There's a Marina Cantina, I think it's called. It's like a Mexican place right on the water. So yeah, I'll probably say that. That's a good
your spot. Okay.
Good
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sounds amazing.
Yes. Yeah, we're jealous. Alex, good stuff. Great insight. And thanks for trying to parse that Boris quote. I was, my head started exploding when I saw it, trying to figure out what it really meant. So.
Like hieroglyphics.
Yeah, exactly. But keep up the good work, and we'd love to have you on, down the line. But thank you, Alex. We appreciate
you. Appreciate it.
Right, have a good day. Thank you. You're right, Derek. That story, and for people who haven't had a chance, that you can get the link right off of her Twitter handle. Yeah. And again, you can follow her. Let me give you the Twitter one more time at BY Alex Coffey, COFFEY. Okay, that's how you spell it. But the Bellotti thing, I think, is pinned up at the top. You can check it out from there. It's
I read this story twice.
Whoa, it's deep.
I'm glad I got to ask her the follow-up question, because we've seen so many stories that are similar, where the part of the family that's devastated the most refuses to forgive the individual that caused the damage to their family.
Yeah.
And for her to take that route, I mean, she's got to live with this the rest of her life, that her husband's not there anymore. And it was caused by this 18-year-old kid. Luckily he wasn't under influence of drugs or alcohol. It was just a bad weather night. But for her, that was like the green light for Bellotti to go on and live his life to the fullest.
Yep.
Because had she not forgiven him, imagine he's got to have that hovering over his head. And you don't know how much it's going to affect him the rest of his life. But he's basically been granted carte blanche to go forward. She understood that it was not intentional. You were not under the influence of anything. It happened, and I was like, wow, what a great story. Great job she did in terms of putting that story together.
Yeah, really good reporting there. All right, let's get a timeout, and we come back, guys. We'll dig back into the Eagles and all things birds and their situation. We'll continue to update you if we're hearing anything, regarding the franchise tag situation for any team. We will pass that along as well. So don't go anywhere. That's Barrett. That's Derek. I'm Rob, hanging out with you on this Tuesday. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Let me tell you about Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration is the place that you reach out to if your home, your business, a property you own has gone through the inconvenience, the pain, the anguish of water, fire, smoke, mold damage, whatever the case may be. Pro Action Restoration is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. That's key. There are a lot of places you might call at night. You might call on the weekends, on a holiday, later in the afternoon. You're not going to get a hold of them. I can tell you from personal experience, I called Pro Action on a Saturday, and they were right out to my parents' house, and they cleaned it up. It was just unbelievable and a big relief. That's for sure. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So again, it could be water, it could be fire, it could be smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it. They can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.